Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 259, and today we're doing battle with Elise Darius. And so, for the daily followers, this is a kind of tried and true classic deck. If you're wanting to stick around and watch us play some Legion Rearguard, you're more than welcome to stay, but otherwise, I was really looking to put this together more so for the folks on the Xbox Game Pass. And so, if you've made your way to the Legends of Runeterra with the Xbox Game Pass, welcome aboard. I hope that some of our recent stuff at least kind of rings true with some of your collection. In our previous video, we focused on a Darius Freylord Overwhelmed deck. We had the Foundations Gauntlets. I don't know, maybe about 5 or 10 videos or so ago, we did quite a few of those, and they should all be pretty relevant to those of you starting off with the Foundations only collection. And so, what I wanted to bring in today was I'm using at its core what is Foundations only, the only epic and champion cards out of this deck you should have in your collection due to that Foundations boost that's given to you the whole way. And the rest of the way here, we're just looking at commons and rares. And so it's a deck that has classically been a pretty fantastic ladder climber, and it's also a pretty good starting deck as you try to kind of get a feel for how combat works, what works in terms of attacking or playing cards before or after you attack, the kind of combat tricks to get used to. A lot of these cards are extremely relevant even today, although the core and the majority of the deck does rank from the Foundations era. And so, at its core, this is just a really, really aggressively based deck. It has a collection of 8 1-drops that we're really looking to play in the Rearguard Precious Pet Legion Saboteur, but also has a backup 1-drop in the Stygian Onlooker. The Onlooker is more of a 4 or 5-drop in this deck, as you're really just trying to punch in that big 4 damage Overwhelm. After that, we are playing quite a bit of the Spiders package. You don't have to play Spiders with Elise, but they do fit into this deck quite nicely, as we have a small collection of the units here with the Precious Pet, the House Spider, the Arachnoid Sentry, and then the Frenzied Skitterer. Kind of piece 2 of what works well with these units is they all tend to have Fearsome, right? The Skitterer, the Arachnoid Horror, the Stygian Onlooker, Precious Pet, and then Elise herself. All of these units have Fearsome. That ties in nicely with the Frenzied Skitterer, giving your opponent's units negative attack, but it also lets us set up some of these boards to where we still get to attack with everything. Our opponent may only be able to block 1 or 2 of our units, and then we can play cards like Reveler's Feast or Nox and Fervor onto the units that were already blocked to help chunk in a little bit more damage. At the end of the day, once the opposing decks do get bigger than us, our units are pretty aggressive. So if opponent's playing a mid-range deck or a control deck, they tend to get bigger units onto the board. We have the cards like Decimate and Doombeast to just attack through without combat. And then the big boy Darius having the 10 power Overwhelmer is also pretty good at closing out games. And so we're going to jump into battle with this shortly. I will say I'm just going to take this into the normals today. If you are just beginning in Runeterra, or if you are at the start of your ladder climb, or even if you're just trying to push from Diamond into Masters, this is a reasonable deck to do it with, but it's not really well positioned to do well in Masters right now. Just Aatrox Vayne, Aatrox Kayn are all incredibly powerful against it. The Aatrox themes of all the life gain tend to be quite strong here, but in my opinion, the big kind of problematic card is the 1-cost 2/2 that gets tough. It does incredible amounts of work at just shutting down all of our aggression, and so it's not particularly strong there. Also a fairly weak deck against Seraphine, but nonetheless, it could still be a fantastic ladder climber. I don't feel like we would have too much trouble grinding this from Diamond to Masters if we needed to. I just don't think we're just going to have too much success in the Masters queue. And so that's the deck. You know what we have to do before the battles begin, though. We do have to go and pay the pay-to-win price. It's just a little thing we like to do, you know. Everyone talks about how free-to-play the game is, and they're certainly on point. The game is very free-to-play friendly, but I like to turn the cards premium, if you will. We call that paying the pay-to-win price. They just perform a little bit better, you know. You're getting ready to go out on that hot date. You got your good outfit on. You did your hair. You put on your good deodorant for the day. You know, you're feeling good, you're looking good, you know things are going to go well. That's how our deck feels too when we turn all of our cards premium. And so, the Reveler's Feast is getting the boost today. Everything else is ready to go. Xbox Game Pass deck. Let's head on into the normals. So good stuff. Good stuff. The battles begin. We just had a cat jump up here. Says, "What up, world? I'm ready to attack the spiders." I never see insects in the house now. These little dum-dums just eat them all. And so, okay, not the greatest start. We're going to want to start with 1-drops. As we talked about earlier, we would prefer to play the Stygian Onlooker on like turn 3, turn 4, turn 5 once it gets to the Nightfall bonus, but having it just as a turn 1 play is much better than not having a turn 1 play. So we're going to go ahead and hang on to it. Looks like we did fill out the rest of our curve, so we won't have to mess with that for 2 or 3 turns from now. And we're looking pretty good there. Now, the next concept I like to talk with these decks is if you don't know what unit to play, then just play the units that deal the most damage. And so we can get the Precious Pet and the Onlooker down for 6, or we can get the Arachnoid Horror down for 3, or we could do the Precious Pet Rearguard for 5. I'm just going to go the 6 damage route here. We're going to play the Precious Pet, follow up with the Onlooker. Looks like the Onlooker is going to trade out with the Phantom Butler, but I'd still rather be trading our 1-cost unit for our 2-cost unit, as opposed to our 2 and the Onlooker for our opponent's 2. So still a fairly productive combat, even though we didn't get that full chunk of damage in. All right. What you got for us, friend? You gotta get a little worried when the Gwen starts to come down. Yeah, she has that drain ability that's a little bit problematic for our aggro deck, but she's got a little bit of time here. She's a few turns away. She can't attack until turn 5, and so hopefully it's not too scary. Definitely not too scary for the kitties here. She's very excited to be hanging out. All right, so I'm fine with the Ribbon Dancer. We're going to come in and Vile Feast one of his real units, and so we would prefer to have the Boisterous Host stay alive. We'll come in and just take down the Ribbon Dancer, right? If we kill off the Boisterous Host, he's going to start getting additional Hallowed bonuses. I'd prefer that to not be a thing. Okay, so now we have to ask ourselves the big question: do we want to open attack? So do we want to attack before we play any more cards, or do we want to add a dude to the board? And I think I'm okay with adding dudes. If their play is just Gwen, you're usually not super happy to just be throwing Gwen in the face of a bunch of attackers, right? You prefer her to be a little bit safer on the quick attack side of the attacking equation, and so opponents shouldn't be super excited about dropping one. I think we might at least get this board state as to where if he plays something slightly larger, we should still be kind of trading away for these dudes. So this is fine. We're going to end up losing our rear guards here. Getting in the... I think it's 1 extra point of damage, right? We played the Horror and the rear guard this turn. Is that correct? Not sure. Still pretty good though. Opponent doesn't have any board. We have the Decimate in hand to try and get a 4 damage blast in. The Reveler's Feast is quite good for next turn as well. So if opponent comes in and blocks one of our dudes, then we should be able to just get rid of the blocker. This Dragon's Feast is pretty annoying. This is not something that we really wanted to see. Hopefully opponent doesn't have any more of those shenanigans and we're able to punch in for the lethal next turn.
Every blade, every beat in its place.
So he's got to be a little bit short now. Well, it depends on if he has another card. We'll take the damage from Irelia. That's not a big deal. She's going to come in and block the Arachnoid Horror. We'll play the Feast onto the Horror. We're currently coming in for 11. So, see if that's enough. I'm not real strong at mathematics. Basic addition is not something that not something anyone has ever accused me of being good at, and so you got to worry about it just a little bit. But it's enough to get the victory. GG. Mark it a W for bust. All right, on to the next battle. Get that Xbox ready. Man, I had to crank out my Xbox a little while ago. I hadn't played Xbox since the Guitar Hero era. I don't want to say I was like good at Guitar Hero. Like it's such a sliding scale when you're playing these games and you want to describe yourself as good. It was like I could like 5-star a variety of songs on expert, and then I could beat most of the hard songs on expert. Like I could never beat Through the Fire and Flames, but then I beat like a lot of the stuff and a lot of like the Iron Maiden DLC and stuff, and so it was like I don't know, I was decent at it, but that was the last time that I actually played Xbox. So it's been sitting in the basement for about a decade, but. You try to like slip stuff past the kiddos on occasion and make hopefully they don't understand or don't know what's about to happen, and the kiddo wanted to play Minecraft and don't lol we didn't have like computers or other gaming devices on the ready that he could just load it up on, and I was like, oh well, I got this Xbox 360 in the basement. I bet we could load up Minecraft on there. And we did. It worked for a while, but we finally got him a Switch and got him Minecraft on that. But that's like my last, like whenever I see this stuff with like Xbox Game Pass and stuff, I get so confused about it actually being a thing because it's just not something I've interacted with in so long, since Guitar Hero was a thing when I was in. But we're glad to have the people here playing. If that's your thing, if that's your jam, doing stuff on the old Xbox 360. I don't even have an idea of what iteration they're on now. All right, easy battle against the elites and the previous opponent here. Not going to drop the onlooker. This is I don't want to call it a disaster, as we can still recover from this point, but ideally we're playing a unit on the first turn and attacking with it. Oh boy, opponent boosted his Nora. This is going to be problematic. A little bit of a problem. So I'll go ahead and take down the bird. There is an argument to wait until next turn to deal with the bird, so we can use the Nightfall off of the thing, but I think that on this upcoming turn, we'll lead off with the Arachnoid Horror. If opponent like portals into a 1 health unit or plays a 1 health unit, we can still interact with it. And otherwise, we do have the onlooker to get in and attack. But nice little setup there. Send our friends in. This is still pretty scary. Like, this is one of these things that's that's so tough to follow along with card games. Is that if you're a newcomer to the world, or you just checked out the game on Twitch and you're not sure what's quite going on. Holy shit, that's terrible in the Sparklefly. Our opponent is most certainly ahead of us right now. It seems like we should be ahead given that we had more units on the board and stuff, but we are not in a good spot right now. So this is kind of like problem number 2, right? We want to get the Skitterer and the Onlooker on board next turn. We want to get the Doom Beast down as well, but we don't have the tools we need to activate all of this stuff. And so I'm going to look to just come into this next turn, use the Skitterer and the Onlooker, use the Elixir of Wrath when it's time for it to come around, but it's just unfortunate to miss out on the value from the Doom Beast. All right, we can bang. So these are the kind of spots where I'm talking about the strength in the cards, like the Reveler's Feast, right? You get to deal 2 damage to an ally and deal 2 to the opposing face. As he comes in and says, like, blocks our Doom Beast here with the Junk Construct. We could kill off our own unit, boost the rest of our team, keep him from getting the bonus with the Junk Construct, but just don't quite have the tools to pull all of that off right now. But let's see if we can't boom him. If we go into next turn and he plays a card, we can kill him with the Decimate before the Sparklefly gets to attack. Not the worst spot to be in. He's definitely looking good with all of these portals that he has, but we got a shot. Play a card. Play something that doesn't matter, bro. Always a strategy to look for. Getting your opponent to play cards that don't matter. What do we got? Librarian and a Construct, okay. Ooh, the Teamaker comes in. Rip it and roll it, my dude. Drop a little Laser Kitty up in there. GG. Good stuff, my friend. Ooh, it was nice to get our way out of that one. That was scary there with the the variety of things hitting the board. But, you know, we maximized the damage we got to put down. He could have made some blocks there on the last turn, but he protected his Nora, protected his Sparklefly, and it didn't work out for him in the end. What do we got here? Our first iteration of having Elise. I think I'm fine to keep it, right? Like I said, we really want to be coming in and hitting the 1-drops. That's the important thing that we can be doing here. But I think that she's probably powerful enough against this Pantheon Kale to just hang on to her. Because this is another kind of abysmal matchup. And we just need some things to go right with this one. They tend to just have a lot of really big dudes that come down. And they outclass our combats pretty quickly. So one thing I wanted to talk about with these games, like in the previous, where the opponent had that Sparklefly and he was getting ready to come out and block, one of the things you're going to see us kind of commonly do is use cards like that Reveler's Feast or use cards like Nox and Fervor, kill the unit that is in front of the unit with lifesteal, so he doesn't actually get to come in and get that strike. So we'll see if it's relevant. It might turn up with this game. Sometimes these people play the empowered unit that gets a bonus, and so we'll see if it turns up. Now here, this is kind of scary, right? This is a very common place for opponent to have a Pale Cascade or a Sharp Sight or just any combat trick. If he gets to turn his Saga Seeker into a 3/3, then we're gonna be failing here. This game is just going extremely poorly now with the addition of the Petricite Broadwing. If he has a 1-cost unit and gets to take down our Elise, we're gonna be hurting, but he may not have it. This deck usually only plays Saga Seeker as its 1-drops. It might have that empowered unit, but it's kind of tough for them to have it all. All right, there's that Pale Cascade we were worried about on the previous turn. Didn't lose our Elise there. Probably just going to have to lose her now. We need to start attacking in these upcoming turns. So here, I'm just going to take the damage. What you run into with these spots is, say we come in and just put some damage on the board, we're only going to have 2 units. Then as we go into the next turn, he can just block all of our dudes. But by just letting the damage come through, we can potentially get in a few extra points of damage here now that he can't block everything. So with this, I'm just going to go ahead and open attack. We're going to try and set something up on our next turn for the lethal, to where we use all of these variety of spiders along with the Frenzied Skitterer to shut down his blocks. It's not a great spot to be in right here. Oh boy, interesting set of blocks. But we're gonna just like easily refill our board, and hopefully opponent can't block our non-fearsome spiders, or can't block our fearsome spiders next turn. Interesting, though. I'm not entirely certain what kind of shenanigan opponent is up to here. They're up to something, right? that was very odd that he didn't come in and block Elise, but, I mean, it looks like this is going good. He's only got 1 mana left now. Alright, well, let's try and take down the bird. This might be the wrong one, because we are about to hit Elise flipping, and when she flips, she gives all of our spiders fearsome, but she's probably not going to survive through the next turn if we don't take down the Broadwing, and so if she's dead, it's kind of a moot point in terms of giving all of our dudes the fearsome. Alright, not bad though. The thing that would be scary around this point in the game is Pantheon, but he's not that scary right now. He's only... he's not flipping, and so he doesn't have the lifesteal. So with this, we're just going to get a full board and attack next turn. I was suspecting that we might need to do stuff with the Frenzied Skitterer, but I don't think it's the case. Let's go ahead and take this one. Oof. Alright, let's see if we can't boom him real good next turn. As it stands, we can deal 10 with our units on board. That's a little bit short, right? We can do 4 with Elise, and then hit with 2 other 3s. But, oh, we pick up the Reveler's Feast. That's how the pros do it right there. That's how the pros do it. All right, so pretty decent looking combat. I suspect he's going to play a combat trick. Oh, fuck. That suspicion did not happen. we're still okay, but I was expecting him to play a combat trick and then we'd be able to just follow up with the Reveler's Feast. You typically want to be just killing your opponents, and so in that sense we would have had to play the Feast pre-combat. But I think we're still okay here. Just adding in Kale isn't that scary. Double Doom Beast. So it's a decision with these as well. This opposing deck does play a bit of heal. Like sometimes they'll play the 2-cost thing that heals 2 and draws a card. I don't think we need to worry about it too much here. I'm just going to slow play these Doom Beasts and say the Reveler's Feast, just in case he has that heal card. Boom it. This is oh shit bust. You boomed me real good, my dude. GG. Alright, cruising right along. On to the next battles. Whew. Who we got now? Is that Renekton and Nasus? I don't recognize these scary looking skins, but I think that's what we're up against here. Nasus, Renekton. I'm ready. Not a bad start. We got all the aggressive bros ready to come down. Sundisk. Nice. Here comes the damage. You can look to play something like Legion Saboteur here. Like, the spot you run into a problem is if opponent has their own 1-drop, right? If they play the predict unit or the dude that puts the attacking sands into your hand, whatever it's called. And so I could definitely see an argument to play the Saboteur instead of the rear guard. But we just went with our big boy here. The idea being is we're going to trade units. We would prefer to just get that single point of damage in from the Saboteur. And we miss out on that if she's not on the board.
I've got gravel cakes and flag fruit.
Alright. Here comes all the damages. Get ready. Kaggi's track 95. Hope he's ready.
Just let them sleep.
That was a pretty good turn, not gonna lie. We can look to Vile Feast down this Rock Bear Dum Dum. Hopefully have a completely clear board and then send in the squad next turn.
Worries fall from us like water.
Get out of here. So good stuff. As this game's winding down, you got to talk about real world stuff on occasion. It was sad. It's frightening. If you follow the NFL, I had a dude go down hard last night. He didn't even take like a hard hit. He just got kind of like a regular hit to the chest, and then he stood up and then immediately fell to the ground. Was a scary moment. It's in the news on his condition isn't like really released. It sounds like they revived him, but anytime you have heart stoppage, there's a real chance you're kind of fucked forever. And like I always have this kind of stance with those dudes in the NFL. Is like a lot of them would just like play for free. It is nice that they get paid a certain amount of money to go out there and do that, but like the damage that goes through their bodies is fucking insane. And you're really kind of like front loading your the quality of your life, if you will, in the sense that a lot of these guys are just making like a $250,000 a year, but if you get to play for like 4 or 5 years, that I think the average length of an NFL career is like 4.5 years. If you make it through all of that, and then you just have debilitating back pain for the remainder of your life or debilitating knee pain for the rest of your life, it's tough to really decide whether or not that's worth it. But it really hit hard with everyone on the field last night, and I think it kind of touches on their mortality, if you will, given that these dudes are just actual elite athletes, and you kind of get in that mindset that you can't really be hurt because you're this big bruiser and everything, and to have it kind of have the illusion shatter in front of your eyes. Like, I'm sure they know in the back of their head that you can get injured playing the game, but to have to kind of see it firsthand, and then also have that be one of your close friends and teammates, it's pretty painful to see. So, hope it turns out okay. Hope he's fine. One of the kind of perks of being an elite athlete is hopefully your body is better adapted to the downsides of such a physical thing. All right, though, back to the action. Footballs aside, what's happening here? We got, that's kind of a good troll chant for us. We would ideally have the pigeon taken off of the board, but I'm not opposed to seeing it go down. And then we do have a decision here, and if we want to block, and I think we do. We have this secondary Vile Feast lined up, and so we can potentially use it next turn. We also have this Crawling Sensations, which I'm pretty on board with using. We're probably not losing our Elise this game, and we do have the Frenzied Skitterer in hand. So hopefully lots of power coming out of these. So I'm just going to lead off with the Horror. This does give the opponent opportunity to put like a Bone Club onto the Pigeon, but I think if he just has the one unit on board, it feels like a bit of a win for us anyways. Holy shit, he's playing Vladimir Braum. I got to talking, that tends to happen in my videos. I get to talking a little bit and lose a bit of track, but we played Darius Freylord in the previous video, so it was on my mind. All right, pretty healthy chunk of damage coming in. Our Elise is going to flip now, and this will get us in the spot again to where we can hopefully just send our highest damage units directly at the opponent in combat. And then kind of the thing with Braum is he is not good at blocking fearsomes, right? the zero power bro cannot block any of our dudes, and so we'll have a bit of opportunity there as well. All right, so I'm looking to just spew everything off at this point. I'm going to definitely lose one unit in front of the Mighty Poro. We probably can't, block Vladimir. He does have Fearsome as well, but I do want to play both Crawling Sensations and Doom Beasts this turn. It's not falling down quite how I wanted to, but it is what it is. Maybe we don't. We can save the Doom Beast for next turn. It's like the problem with adding Doom Beast to the boards, it's not a spider. And so it doesn't get that bonus from the Skitterer. We have like one unit on board next turn, just not really doing anything. So let's leave it back. And a Fervor. Looks good. We got 5 damage of burn in hand. The Braum can't block. We can hook the Vladimir out of combat. Mighty Poro probably can't block as well. Looks good. So let's see. We need 2 blocks in here. We're going to little to big after these 2. So here we got a 2, a 3, 4, a 5. Can do this. The thing with these little to big attacks, it shouldn't be that important here. But if we want to go back to this idea of our opponent having lifesteal units, opponent wants to come in and block our best units, right? So he probably wants to come in and block this Elise. And so if you imagine that he has some kind of lifesteal unit on the board, and he wants to block Elise, he would, most likely die before the block got down to her, as he would take 2 and then 3 and then 4. It's only 9 in this case when he's at 10, but if you can kill your opponent before he gets that good block, you're ideally making him block your worst units. Good stuff, though. GG. See ya, Braum. Nice battle. On to the next one. And so yeah, if you're a daily follower when you stuck around, I'm curious to see what comes out in the patch notes. It's in the early morning for me, so I don't have access to them yet. They won't be out for another few hours, but I'm curious what comes up in terms of the. I think the historically Riot has put out patch notes at the first Tuesday of the new year. That's when the 3.0 patch came out last year. I don't remember how New Year's fell last year, if Monday was a working day for most people or not, but maybe we'll get a bit of that patch note action here later on in the day. See what turns up for the upcoming meta. What do you got? Unraveled Earth. The thing about all these cards opponents playing right now is they aren't units, and so it's not ultra intimidating. So he can't prevent any of our damages here. But I'm fine to go ahead and just like load up Elise. It's not ideal having your strongest units getting hit with the vulnerable, but I think it's going to be fine. He wants to take this massive hit of damage and not get a sarcophagus now that he's just added a bad endless devout to the board. That's going to be good, right? He probably really needs the sarcophagus here, and so having his unit land in front of Elise isn't a terrible deal. All right, pretty close to that lethal, though. We're getting there. He's probably not playing Darius all day today. Poor guy. Poor guy. He's got those sweet shoulder pads, though. I'll give him that. Look at that. He gets some of these. He's get his Legion of Doom on. I'm pretty sure it's Legion of Doom. I think those are the guys from the WWF back in the 80s or in the 90s. They had the football shoulder pads on with the giant fucking spikes pointing out of them. I think that was I think that was a thing. All right, that went a little worse than expected. I wasn't. It's like I kind of should have anticipated that this Ruinous Acolyte was coming down, but I didn't quite worry about it enough. Surprised he's not forcing the action here with the Ruinous Acolyte, but this is okay. We're going to go ahead and take down the Restored Devout. It's going to be able to block whatever we're doing next turn, and I think we can probably push the Ruinous Acolyte into a worse spot here, and just a absolute perfect draw in the House Spider. Gives it a little bit more width. It's going to be good. All right, well, his friends are going to be able to block here, but hopefully he doesn't have any more units to add to the board. It takes quite a bit of work to get these Acolytes on board with the bonus. I guess you can just play one, but see.
I just can't wait. Here we go. Another day, another explosion.
All right, so he should be losing 2 Acolytes here. He's going to put Ziggs in front of something. Looks like we got 7 coming at him. A little bit of +3 from hand. GG, my dude. And so yeah, we probably slipped up there a little bit. I mean, it's probably safe to assume that he's going to play the Ruinous Acolyte, and if we would made him blow up the Acolyte Tomb, whatever it's called, instead of the sarcophagus, he would have had a little bit less units on the board, but still got there at the end of the day. All right, the final battle is here. Cruising on through these. We usually take about an hour to get up to 8 games or so, but this deck blazes on through. This is why it's such a good ladder climber, right? Even if you have a worse win rate than whatever the best control deck in the format is, your games tend to be so much faster that it makes up for that loss of wins, that loss of win rate. But all right, if anything's gonna smash us on the day, I do have to worry about it being darkness. Senna Vagar tends to be quite strong against what we're doing. In this spot, we definitely want to lead with Legion Rearguard. This deck tends to play cards like Go Hard, that deal a damage to a unit, and that costs 1 mana. It tends to play other things like Vile Feasts and Group Shots. So they have a lot of ways to just deal that 1 point of damage. Quietus. Okay. That's actually the probably the best one for us here. If he played Vile Feast and got to, say, kill the Onlooker and then block the Legion Saboteur, the game probably would have just been done at that point. But you got a really healthy chunk of damage in there. Interesting. We probably have to add the Saboteur. Like, we're in this spot again to where it's like I really want to get the big value out of Doom Beast, but just like passing there is just such a brutal moment if we roll into the next turn and opponent even just has something like Vengeance. So nonetheless, good stuff. Good stuff. We accomplished what we came here to do. We had a nice 8-0 run. Clearly the best deck in the world if you're going to take it to 8-0. But at the end of the day, again, this is a quite strong deck. If you're in on the Xbox Game Pass, everything in here is pretty much in your collection. And even if it's not, like most of these cards are common, right? We didn't add any epics or champions that aren't in that Xbox Game Pass, or they're just, not entirely required, right? You can play something like Decisive Maneuver instead of Reveler's Feast. You can add in just whatever other 1-drops are there instead of Stygian Onlooker. Things like Doom Beast aren't required. You can look towards just, anything that's just cheap and aggressive. As a great way to just get in that early game stuff. The thing I would suggest, though, is to probably craft a Nox and Fervor first. Like, Nox and Fervor and Decimate are the kind of the big ones out of this. I guess Decimate's in the Game Pass, but Nox and Fervor is not. But Nox and Fervor is also kind of the premier burn spell at this point. And so it works well with a lot of decks in the current meta, be those with Swain or the aggro style decks that are looking to bounce around lifesteals and stuff. Just a lot of great versatility out of a card like Nox and Fervor. And so, good stuff. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. And so I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.